emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. As we continue on these videos, I reveal a little bit more about myself as we go along. And there's some things that I'm not, too proud of. And one of them was, for lack of a better word, is being an addict. I've shared with you, stories of when I was hooked on drugs and done drugs and got high. And today's just an episode of one of those things that, during the time that I was in Florence, I kind of cut off all the other drugs. I didn't do any of the other hard drugs anymore. I didn't smoke cigarettes anymore. But the one thing that I was smoking was that Tucci, the K2, which I mentioned was an epidemic in the penitentiary system, because a lot of people don't understand that stuff is very addictive. I never been dope sick on heroin. I never been dope sick on meth. But when I went to the SHU, after being on the compound smoking that Tucci, I got dope sick. I got the shivers, the shakes. I don't know which end the shit was gonna come out of. I was throwing up, having the runs. You go to the toilet, you think you're gonna throw up, but then you gotta sit on the toilet. It was a vicious, it's the worst come down I've ever experienced. So that's just to give you an idea of, what's in those type of chemicals. And somebody had asked me on one of the comments was, how did I shake it when I came home? I don't have, the cure-all formula or recipe to get over an addiction. But for me personally, the thing that helped me get over those addictions and my habits was just a sense of responsibility and obligation and love that I have for my wife and for how I wanted to be perceived by my family, my nieces and nephew. I think coming home, I found something that I love more, enjoy more than my high. And it wasn't easy. The first 2 weeks I was home, I wasn't able to sleep. I couldn't sleep in my bed. The bed was too soft. These couches that I sit in was too soft. Everything was just, out of the ordinary. I was unaccustomed to all the comforts of the world. For the first 2 weeks, we had to lay down a mat on the floor, and me and my wife slept in the living room. My wife, came and slept on the hard floor with me. She forewent the comfort of her soft bed, and we camped out in the living room for 2 weeks. And it was rough, but I was determined to go through it, and I was able to go through it. But then, as you know, I kind of relapsed. I started smoking weed because I had some back issues and everything. And well, right now, my health is good. I haven't partaken anything since August 1st. My system's clean. I see the judge every 30 days now to have a status review. And I see him again tomorrow at 10:30. But I'm good. I don't have any need to partake. My mind is clear. My health is good. And I'm moving forward with my life. With that being said, I just want to share a story with you. Even though, I've always met all my obligations when it comes to debt, when it comes to dealing with people and everything. But sometimes you got dudes that feel they have to act a certain way to present a certain image. And that's the story I'm going to share with you today. In Florence, that I mentioned that we're always on lockdown. For whatever incident, we're on lockdown. And at this particular time, we've been locked down for 2 weeks, and had this dude named J-Rock from St. Louis. Now he ran Midwest, but he was a blood on the street. But when he came onto the compound, he didn't get on count with the Bloods. He ran Midwest. And I'm not here to judge dudes that gangbang on the street and then come to prison and don't want to gangbang or don't want to push the line or anything like that. To each his own. But my issue with the dude don't really have nothing with his affiliation, but just, one, you're not getting put on count. You're not trying to be a blood. You run in Midwest, but every time you go get tattooed, it's blood this, blood that. So that in itself tells me a little bit about, the character of who you are and whatnot. But going back to the story, we were locked down for a couple weeks. Then on Monday, they let us out. But they only let us out in the unit. So we just kicked in the unit or whatever. Because every time you get on lockdown, before operations get back to normal, they try to integrate you back slowly. They might let you a couple hours out the day before to shower. In the beginning of the lockdown, all they do is come and take you for a shower. Boom. Then maybe a couple days go by, they'll let you come out yourself for an hour, 3 or 4 cells for an hour to be able to use the phone, the email, and take a shower. Then it progresses. The next day, they might let a quarter of the tier out for 2 hours, and so on until they open the compound all the way back up. So we've been going through this transition. Then on Monday, they finally let the whole unit out. They let the whole unit out, but they just kept us in the block. They didn't let us go out to the compound. They didn't let us go out to chow or anything like that. They brought the chow into the block. Well, the following day, Tuesday, they finally let us go out to rec. So, and again, the yard is split. Me being DA, I can only rec in whatever designated rec yard that they assign us for that day with my block. And if I want to talk to somebody that's from another unit, I'd have to talk to them through the fence. So when I go out on Tuesday, I go hit up my homeboy Tran. And Tran's a good homie. He's Vietnamese out of Washington. And I think it's Seattle, Washington. But this dude, my homeboy Tran, just to get off the subject a little bit, he practically grew up in America, but you still can't understand what the hell he's saying when he talks. He still has that strong-ass Vietnamese accent. And I don't even understand it. Like, he's been in America longer than me, But I'm not knocking him for anything. I just think it's funny. But he's a good dude. He always come through. He's really one of my dudes that, he always, he's more, I think he's better with his money than I am, So he always got access, or he always got money. He always got stamps put up or whatever. So whenever I go to him, say, hey, I need 25 books. I need 50 books. He'll get it to me because he knows I'm going to send him the money, whenever I tell him I'm going to do that. So I got about maybe like 20 books in debt that I owe. So when I come out, I tell Tran, hey, man, I need 25 books. I'll shoot you the money this weekend. He's like, all right, let me take care of something and I'll have it to you on Thursday. So that's that. He told me he's going to have me the books on Thursday. He's going to have me the books on Thursday. If I tell him I'm going to send him the money over the weekend, I'm going to send him the money over the weekend. So when I come back in from the yard, it's right before lunch. So I come back in from the yard, this dude J-Rock, which I owed like 18 books to. He comes up to my cell and he's like, hey, I said, you got them books? I was like, J-Rock, we've been on lockdown. You know that, right? You were locked down with me. But don't even trip. On Thursday, I already made arrangements. On Thursday, I'll have you cleared off. Oh, I can't wait till Thursday. I said, what are you talking about? You know, he was, oh, I gotta have my books now. You can't go borrow it from somebody. You can't get it from somebody. I said, J-Rock, I already made arrangements. I'm gonna have the books on Thursday for you. Oh, but I can't wait. I said, well, there ain't nothing I can do, homie. I mean, on Thursday, I'll take care of you. Well, I gotta have my books tonight by dinner. So when he said that, you know, I'm like, and? Well, I said, so what are you talking about, homie? I said, man, I don't know what to tell you, you know, but I gotta have my books by dinner. So now, I see what this conversation is leading up to. So I take off my glasses. I said, well, look, we ain't gotta wait till dinner to tell you I ain't got your books. I ain't got your books. And fuck you, fuck your books. What's up? So when I said that, you know, his eyes kind of got big. You know, he's bigger than me, black dude from St. Louis. I'm like, so what's up? He said, what you mean? I said, what the fuck you mean? You tell me I gotta do something. I told you be on lockdown, homie. And I made arrangements to take care of you. But you talking about you don't know what to tell me. I gotta have your books at dinner. Well, I ain't got your fucking books. I ain't gonna have it at dinner. I ain't gonna have it tomorrow. Matter of fact, fuck your books. What's up? And of course, I went and called him all sorts of hoe and bitches and the rest that I don't need to repeat over here. And I started walking up towards him. He's in my cell. We're in the corner cell at this time. And he starts backing out, talking about, oh, man, man, shh. I said, what do you mean, shh? I said, man, bitch, motherfucker, what's up, homie? He's like, man. I said, man, get the fuck out of my cell. So he burns out, leaves my cell. I don't go say anything to anybody, to none of the natives or another one of my homeboys that live in the block or anything, or even to his people, because that was between me and him, you know. The reason I don't say anything like that, because you can say I punked him, but it's between me and him. So no one else needs to know about it. And if no one else knows about it, he don't have to be on a defense, you know, get defensive and feel like he has to save face and feel like he has to come back and do anything. But, you know, being in the environment that I'm in, I'm always conscious of, you know, things that I say out of my mouth. But he had jumped out there and, in essence, has threatened me. And, well, if that's the way it's going to go, then let us go. But when he left the room, I knew that I knew he didn't want anything to come of it. So I just mind my own business and moved on. Well, come Thursday, I get the books, you know. I go pay a few people that I owed or whatever. And the books that I was going to give J-Rock, I went and paid it to somebody else and used the rest to smoke. Because I'm not paying dude. He jumped out there and, you know, there ain't no going back, you know, for me. You jumped out there already. So what the fuck I got to come over here and make anything right with you before when you didn't want to respect what I had told you. And it wasn't that I dragged him for weeks or anything. We were on lockdown for 2 weeks. Nobody was able to come out to use the phone, to do anything. And the understanding is that when we get locked down, the clock stops on everything. That's just the understanding of the penitentiary, because no one has any access to anything while we're locked down in our cell. So everybody's understood and respects that when we go on lockdown, the clock stops, you know, until we resume normal operations. So come Friday, I'm sitting there waiting to use the phone. And while I'm in line, I'm like the second person. There's a guy in front of me. There's two people on the phone. There's a guy in front of me. I'm next. So I'm waiting to use the phone. But this whole time for the last couple days, I'm always aware of where he's at, because I never put anything past anybody. Because there's some dudes that might not come at you head up for whatever reason, you know, out of fear or whatever. For me, there's no rules to war. The only rules that matter is to win. I don't care if you sneak somebody or if you go head up with them, or if you use a padlock or a knife. If you're gonna get into a confrontation with somebody, homie, my mindset, the only thing that matters is win. By any means. So, thinking the way I think, understanding that, I don't ever overlook anybody or feel like somebody's a punk and they ain't, shit or none of that. So the next couple of days when I'm walking around the block, I make sure to never allow dude to walk behind me. I always make sure that he's always in my peripheral if we're in the block together. That's just, I've been accustomed to that. So it's automatic already. So come Friday, I'm sitting waiting to use the phone and I see him walking towards me. I'm sitting down, but I got my feet planted just in case, he's trying to bring me a move. So he comes over and he's like, hey, mate. Hey, what's up, Mason? I said, what's up, homie? He's like, hey, you got them books? Did you ever get them books? I said, yeah, I got them yesterday. He goes, what's up? I said, what's up? What happened? I said, I went and paid everybody I was going to pay. And he looked at me, kind of like a big, confused look on his face. I said, hey, excuse me, homie, I'm next on the phone. And I got up and got on the phone. So come Saturday evening, the homie I mentioned, Bebe, dude from Vice Lord that had the compound for the Vice Lords in the Midwest, he's the spokesman for all of them dudes. And J-Rock is one of his little homies. So I'm downstairs walking to the trash can to go dump out my trash. Baby sitting there waiting on the phone. He said, hey, Mason, can I holler at you? I said, yeah, what's up, homie? He goes, hey, you owe one of my little homies some money? I said, well, who's your little homie? And he's like, J-Rock. I said, where's he at? Oh, he's in one of the cells over there. I said, let's go get him, So me and Bebe walked to the room. J-Rock was in there with a couple of his homies chopping it up, whatever. So I said, hey, J-Rock, come out here. So he comes out of the room and I said, let's go to my cell. So Bebe and J-Rock comes upstairs to my cell. I live in the corner by the shower. So Bebe goes in first. He goes in and sits down on the stool at the table. And I come in behind him. I'm standing, in the room, in the middle of the room. And J-Rock comes in the cell, but he's by the door. I said, yeah, I owe this motherfucker some money, but let me run down the conversation. And if I'm lying or exaggerating, he can correct me. So I went through about how I told him I'm gonna have his money on Thursday, and this motherfucker tells me, oh, he can't wait, he don't know what to tell me, I gotta have it by dinner. So when he said that, I told him, fuck him, fuck you and your books. What you trying to do, homie? And at the time when I mentioned it, there was a more, like I said, there was I mentioned all, the derogatory, slandered names that I called him, which range from, whatever you use to fucking be disrespectful. I said all of it. And I repeated all again to Bebe. And, and when I was done with the conversation, J-Rock was like, yeah, I came at him wrong, man. That was my bad. I came at him wrong. So Bebe, like I said, I got a lot of love and respect for Bebe. I've done a lot of business. We have a really good rapport. He's been my friend. We became friends, whereas to the point where we would aid and assist each other, to a certain extent, depending on the situation. But, so Bebe's like, he looks at J-Rock, he's like, man, J-Rock, I'm not taking nothing from you about what you've been doing out there in the streets or whatever, but you got to understand, Mason's been in the system for the last 20 years, been getting it in. And you know, as far as my dealings that I've ever had with Mesa, he's never been a dude to disrespect anybody. He always take care of his business, and you can't expect to come at a dude sideways like that and not have him react the way he react. And again, J-Rock was like, yeah, no, that was my bad, man. I came at him wrong or whatever. So Baby goes and says, and continues on and says, look, if he doesn't take care of you, I'll pay you. You know, he's talking to J-Rock. But I tell Baby, I said, nah, baby, you ain't got to take care of none of my bills, homie. I ain't got no problem paying him. But I wasn't going to pay him because his ass jumped out there and then his ass fucking ran out of my cell. You know, for me, I chalked that shit up. But on account of our relationship with me and you, I'll take care of him come Tuesday when we go to commissary. Because I don't need you to, you know, but I'm doing this because of my relationship with you, not with this dude. So me and Baby shook hands and I agreed to pay J-Rock. So come Tuesday, I go to the store, you know, I paid I go to the store for somebody that I'm buying books from or whatever, but I'm supposed to buy J-Rock a thermal and give him 18 books. That's the total that I had owed him. So when we come back from the store, I call J-Rock upstairs to my cell and I hand him a stack of books, which is about maybe 10 or 12 books, right? Of stamps. So I hand it to him. Boom. I said, hey, J-Rock, come here. Here. So he grabs it. He looks at it. He's like, how much is this? I said, 10 or 12 books. He looks at it. And I can see that he's like uncertain what to say, right? So he picks his head up and looks at me. It's like, but you owed me 18 books and a thermal. You know, when he said that, you know, I walked a little closer to him and I looked at him and I said, look, homie, if I were you, I would accept that and just move on. He's like, huh? I said, I already chalked you up. He goes, chalk me up? What does that mean? I said, you know, when there's a body in the road, lying in the road, and the police come and they put the chalk around the body. And he's like, I said, yeah. So if I were you, just accept that and let's just move on with our lives. You know, and to his credit, he put it in his pocket and rode out, and nothing else ever became of the issue. But you know, I've always been respectful to everybody I deal with, but I have to admit I have a short fuse. When someone comes at me sideways, then all courtesy, all respect is out the door. It's just, what are you trying to do, homie? But a lot of issues with these youngsters that come through, they have this image of what a gangster is supposed to be. And they think a gangster is somebody that is aggressive and pushing the line or has to stick his chest out, when it's not. Because those that are comfortable within their own skin, they always know that they always know to approach every conversation with humility and respect. Because they understand that when it gets sideways, they're gonna handle their business. So there's never no need to be aggressive or to try to present a persona that you're tougher than you are. And the reason is that if you are not that gangster and you present yourself that way, you walk around with your chest out and your voice loud, and then you run up to a real gangster and he pulls your card, when it's time to go and you drop your nuts, now it just makes you look like a bitch. But if you're humble and reserved and courteous, and somebody jumps out there and let's say you really don't want to get into the mix, you bow down and move on or whatever, there's no stigma or anything against you because you never presented this tough ass image. But once you present that tough ass image, like you with the program, and you drop the ball or drop your nuts, then now everybody looks at you like you're a lame and a punk. But again, this incident was between me and him, and I never repeated to anybody. I don't know what he did on his part or whatever, but I never went and bragged about it, never went and talked about it, never mentioned it. Because for me, like I said, I've been in situations where I understand that as long as it stays between the confines of the individuals that's involved, then there's no pressure from the outside group to go push a dude to go save face. Because if I had went around and bragged about it or talked about it amongst other people in the unit, then the word would have got back to him and his homeboys, and they would have been like, damn, homie, you gonna let dude punk you like that? Man, you can't be on this compound. If you got dudes punking you, you better go handle that shit or we're gonna run you up top. So, just understanding the politics of the penitentiary helps you navigate it and help you survive it. But at the end of the day, it's always better to enter every conversation with humility, courtesy, and respect. And then if the other person doesn't return the favor, then you handle your business. Welcome to the USP.